Welcome to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, we're back here with coaching call number 7, and it's all about how to monetize your site. So I've got Samara with me, of course. Samara, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Spencer, how are you doing?
Doing very good. Of course, we've been chatting here for a few minutes privately, just reviewed your site a little bit, and I want to say things are coming along pretty well, I think.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about it?
You know, it doesn't look like anything yet, so I don't have any feelings. Mostly sad, just because
What?
There's nothing there yet. There's nothing there. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping, I have a couple articles written, so I'm hoping to have them on the site and, by tomorrow or the day after. And so that will kind of give me a visual and that will hopefully make me feel better about it.
Right. So, at this point, you've written certainly one full article, and you have about 3 others in the works, right? That are getting pretty close.
Well, I finished 3 and I'm on the 4th.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just coming to the end of the 4th. But yeah, it's an uphill battle, I would say, just because the content creation is harder than I expected and it's taking longer than I expected. But I don't want to rush it because I want it to be good. But yeah, it's coming along slow and steady.
So what are you finding frustrating or time consuming that you want to bring up? Or I want to bring this up because other people probably are having similar thoughts, right? They're like, man, this is harder than I thought. So what are you finding that's frustrating or hard or time consuming?
I guess, the research is kind of intense. I want the content to be as useful as possible. So, I could throw together an article about the topic and, call it a day, but I'm going through looking at tons of possibilities and products and options, and that's taken a really long time. And I'm not a perfectionist by any means, but, I do want to create something that people will be able to use and find value. And so that's a lot of work. So that's probably what's holding me up.
Yeah. So, no, I agree. It's something that you almost have to go through the process a few times before I think you'll be able to speed up the article writing and the research and all of that. And I do think that you will be able to speed that up and it'll go a little bit quicker. But that's a very common issue that people run into as they realize, wow, especially when you're reviewing a lot of sort of different products, and maybe they're products that you don't use in your everyday life. There is a lot of research involved. But I will just say that all the time and effort that you're putting into is what's going to allow you to create really great content that I think Google is going to love. You showed me the first article, and how many words was that article?
Oh,
approximately?
2,500 maybe, something like that?
Yep. So really, really long, in-depth article. And I will just say for people listening in, it's a great resource. She's got images, she's got, bullet points and lots of paragraphs. Little inside joke for people that listening in. And just it's formatted very, very well, and then the content itself is excellent. And so these are the types of articles that deserve to be at the top of Google. And so when we look at what's already on page 1 of Google, I think you've done a better job already, right? And so you deserve to be there. And so it's only hopefully a matter of time before that becomes reality. So it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but in the long run, I think it's going to be worth it for sure. So.
Excellent. I think so too. It is a lot of work, but yeah.
Yeah. So today we are going to talk about, because you're finally starting to get to the point where you're publishing content, we need to be thinking about actually monetizing that content, both for the short term and long term. And that's what I'm going to talk about here today. Again, I'm going to run through this quick slide to talk about what we've done. We went from brainstorming general ideas to picking a niche, keyword research, talking about problems and how to stand out, domain, theme, logo, voice, long-term content strategy, and writing and publishing content, which is what we covered last time. And now today we are finally going to talk about monetization strategy, both short and long-term strategies. And then we've got a few more things to cover. All right. So that's where we're at in the process. I do want to follow up on the assignments that I gave you. How did you do? Here's where they are, the 6 assignments.
Yep. Good. I read Brian Dean's guide. He has a lot of really useful information. I like all his stuff is bookmarked on my computer. Yep. So, yep, I have his guide. I looked at the blog post ideas. There's so many great ideas. So I think, I will look at a keyword and then probably refer back to Digital Marketer to see what kind of blog post applies best, or what I can use to make it interesting, make the topic interesting.
And we talked about this a little bit, right? I mean, right now your first 4 articles are all sort of list type articles, right? And so you're thinking about what other ideas could I have, and so you may visit this blog post again to think about different structures outside of list type articles.
Definitely. I definitely want to mix it up. It's more interesting for the reader, although not like the reader's going to read all the articles at once, but it will just, it will also be a nice relief to me to do something different than a list.
Right.
I have my categories in WordPress. I think I have 8 categories. I looked at these sites that help you score your headlines. So that was interesting. And I've been watching the Thrive Content Builder videos. So I think I've done my homework.
Yeah, I think you did. Good job. I wanted to follow up with that. Any specific questions that came up while you were doing these assignments that maybe we haven't talked about yet, or is it all clear?
I think it's all clear for the moment. Okay. Good.
Awesome. So very good. I'm glad you went through that. I think it's a really good foundation for on-page SEO, creating content. And like I said, I looked at your first couple of articles and they look fantastic. So I think you're doing a good job there. So let's move on to how to actually monetize a site. Now there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Right out of the gate, I want to talk about selling your own products. I mean, this is going to be the most profitable way to monetize a site. I mean, this should be probably the long-term strategy for any website. When you own your own product, of course, you control the profit margin. You can, instead of just an affiliate, Amazon pays you anywhere from, I think, 6% on the low end to, maybe 10% on the high end, right? Whereas if you sell your own product, I mean, profit margins for software can be 75%, right? For every unit that you sell. And so profit margins are much bigger if you have your own product. So you can sell an information product that can be ebooks or a video training course or other digital type information. You can sell software, you can sell physical products, and of course you can do services. All right. And feel free to stop me as I talk about some of these ideas, if you have any additional questions. So that is a long-term content strategy. Now, the shorter-term strategy is you can be an affiliate. And that is, of course, how we're going to start out here because, well, we don't have any products to sell quite yet. So you can be an affiliate. You can do that through Google AdSense, Amazon Associates. CPA stands for cost per acquisition, basically generating leads, right, for other businesses. And then there really are thousands of other affiliate programs. In fact, I think you mentioned some other affiliate programs that you found, right, outside of Amazon that you might want to start looking into.
Mm-hmm. And how do CPAs work? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so basically, credit cards is an example of one, right? So a lot of people do credit card offers they're an affiliate for Visa or for Citibank or whoever, right? And so basically on their site, they refer people over to, Citibank, let's say, and if they fill out a credit card application, they get paid $50.
Okay.
Right. So that's a cost per acquisition. Or a lead, right? So you sent a lead to Citibank, even though that person may not end up getting a credit card, you still get paid because they filled out the application.
Okay.
Right. So it's just a lead generation type thing.
Okay. And one question about Google AdSense. Does it always make sense to put Google AdSense on every website, or how does that work?
it doesn't always make sense to do that. It's worth experimenting. I think Google AdSense is a great program. They pay quite well for a per click. They pay the highest for any cost per click advertising platform out there for sure. Right. Okay. So on a per click basis, it kind of just depends and is worth testing. So
okay.
In your example, we may start out with just Amazon Associates and see how that goes. And then at some point we may say, you know what, let's test out adding Google AdSense in addition to Amazon. Let's have both on the website and see if that increases or decreases earnings. So we'll just test things as we go.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to walk through some Amazon Associates examples here. I think most people are probably pretty familiar with a lot of Amazon Associates sites. Of course, in my previous niche site project examples, I had Amazon Associates sites. But here we have the wirecutter.com that I've talked about previously. And if you go to basically any of their review articles, they're monetizing the site with Amazon Associates, right? So, I mean, in their very first sentence, in fact, they have an affiliate link to Amazon. So if I went and I bought this product, they would get paid for that. So I share this as an example, not necessarily to show you how Amazon works, but to think about what type of links to add to your own site, what type of buttons. Look at what they're doing. They're a very successful website. And, consider modeling your website after theirs as far as Amazon Associates is concerned.
Okay. You can do that. You can just slip the affiliate link into the text. I see people talking about like certain links that Amazon doesn't approve of or does approve of. And how does it work? You can slip it in there and you can add a button and that's okay with Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Are you familiar with what people said is not okay to do?
I can't remember, but I know there's like a bazillion questions. I think in the Facebook group, a lot of people ask, can I put these kinds of, I don't know if they're, I don't know. I don't want to make it up.
I think I know what you're talking about. Probably just a lot of people use either URL shorteners or there's a lot of plugins that help you insert Amazon affiliate links. And to be honest, I'm totally fine with that. I don't think that Amazon cares. But they are getting more strict about certain ways that you insert your link. But you don't have to worry whatsoever if you just go to Amazon and like right here, and just get the raw link, right? So if you just go to Amazon and click this button, because I'm signed into my Amazon Associates account already, and just click link to this page. Mm-hmm. And I may have to blur this out. I don't know. But basically it's showing my affiliate thing there. But basically if you just come in here and, copy the link and insert it, like in this example, I'll do it just so you can see.
Okay. You don't take the whole link?
Yeah, you'd go to the text only.
Okay.
Well, depending on where you're inserting or how you're inserting, right? So in this example, we just want the actual link, right? The thing that starts with the Ahrefs and ends right here, right?
Okay.
So you just copy that. Well, in fact, what you would want to do is you just want the link. Start with the HTTP.
Okay.
And then just get that link, and then you just insert that into your WordPress, bada boom, bada bing, and that's it.
Okay. That's easy. Okay.
Yep. So as long as you just, use the link generator on Amazon, you don't have anything to worry about.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I wanted to point out, they have very detailed reviews on the Wirecutter. They use links on their images. They use links just in their text, like I showed you. And the final thing, the links do open in a new window.
Okay. Can you just show the image affiliate links?
Yeah. Let's see here. See if I can find one. I'm not sure if they have it on all their images or not. It looks like maybe these images. Oh, here we go. So this one, here's their image. If I click on that, that takes me to Amazon.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Yep. So.
All right.
So those are all kind of best practices, having your links open in a new window, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then Baby Gear Lab is another one that we can look at. Maybe we don't need to look at, but basically the only thing they've added is they have like comparison charts and things that we've looked at previously. So they do a good job of inserting Amazon Associates into their website as well.
Okay.
Let's look at some Google AdSense examples. So if you decide that you want to add Google AdSense, I have one that's kind of like a smaller, more aggressive example. They have all their ads above the fold here. Like you look at this, you see basically no content. All you see is ads, right? So this is super aggressive and I don't necessarily recommend this, but then they've got these where it says add choices over here in the sidebar, these link units. And then when you actually click on an article, it kind of shows some different options, right? So they've got a big ad unit just below their title. They've got ad units in the middle and then at the end, right? So those are some things, a little more aggressive. Certainly on the home pages where they're extremely aggressive. I mean, you see basically nothing but ads, right?
And that's all Google AdSense?
Yes, that's all Google AdSense. Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So they for car-related keywords, they probably make quite a bit of money. If I were to click on this, they'd make, $1.50 or $2 just with me clicking, whether or not I did anything, right? So
Okay.
Google AdSense can be quite profitable. That's how I made all my money.
Oh, really? I don't know why I was under the impression that Google AdSense, it was like impossible to make any money off of it.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, that's where I made all my money. That's how I quit my job. All 100% of my websites were monetized with Google AdSense. When I quit my job in 2011. So I was making 6 figures a year with Google AdSense.
Shut up.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's as far as a per click network, something that you get paid when somebody just clicks, they pay the most, right?
Okay.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's hard to compare, but in a lot of cases, Google AdSense will be more profitable than Amazon Associates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in a lot of cases, it's going to be the other way. So it just depends.
Okay. This is like an embarrassingly newbie question, but Google AdSense, I mean, they put the appropriate ad on your website, right? They pick something.
Yes.
Okay. So you have nothing to do with that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so easy. You just put a snippet of code on the back end. You pick the ad sizes and where you want them to appear. But then Google, I mean, they're very sophisticated. They crawl your website and they know this website's about SUVs. And so they pull in, GMC is, advertising. And, well, LegalZoom is showing up here because I was looking at LegalZoom earlier, in the week. So they also follow you. They tailor the ads to my search history and that sort of thing. But, yeah, that's it. You just insert the code and Google does the rest.
And what do they send you a check or how's that work?
Yeah, direct deposit. They send you, once a month, they send you a direct deposit to your bank account.
Wow.
It's pretty easy.
That's cool.
So in terms of ease of use, AdSense is much easier than Amazon, for example, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because each new article you create for Amazon, you have to go get a new link and find the product. AdSense, you do it once for your site and it's done, right? It'll show up automatically on every article.
Okay.
So
cool.
I love Google AdSense personally.
I'm not surprised.
But there's a lot of great there's a lot of great other affiliate programs out there.
Okay.
So the other site I was going to show that's a little less aggressive, and again, it's another automotive website, is this one here. And, they do have the ads. Of course, they've got the flashing ads, so it looks really aggressive, right? But they've got ads sort of on the top. They're not in the content, I guess, is what I was going to show, right? So right within the content, there's really no ads right here within the regular window. They've got it all in the sidebar or in the header, right? So it's slightly less aggressive. But, this is a very large website, and this is how they choose to monetize is Google AdSense.
Okay.
So just those couple of examples. We may get down that road on your website. And when we do that, we'll test out different ad positions and sizes and things like that.
Okay.
Just a quick example of a CPA or a lead offer. here is over at nerdwallet.com. They review all sorts of financial products. In this particular example, they're reviewing, best IRA account providers. And as you come down through here, they have a nice chart with either Ameritrade or E-Trade. If I click on this and I go over, this is a lead form. And if I go here and actually probably just apply to a new account, right, then NerdWallet's going to make $50 or $150 or I don't know what they pay, right? But that's just an example, right? Okay. So sort of a cost per acquisition website. So any questions on those monetization strategies, the affiliate sort of related ones?
I wonder, since you have experience with other programs, are most websites like Amazon's, like you get the link and you just insert it? Or is that just like the standard procedure for inserting an affiliate link?
Yeah. You mean like the affiliate programs outside of Amazon, that sort of thing? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty much like that. You'll get a custom affiliate link with your, individual code from the seller. Okay. And you'll just insert it just basically like you would an Amazon link. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, the other thing I brought up is creating your own products. Is that something that you would be willing to consider?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So there's lots of different ideas, and we're not going to strike on any ideas today, but I just want it to be sort of in the back of your mind that, hey, if there's a product idea I can come up with that fits my market, that's a way to make a lot more money. So you can do information products, software, physical products. The idea is, of course, the way to come up with a great idea is to solve a problem that is within your niche. And another way to do this, once your site is successful, is you can go back and look at, okay, what articles are getting the most traffic and the most earnings on my site? So if you're selling a ton of some widget through Amazon, maybe you should consider actually private labeling that widget and selling it on your own. You're already sending tons of traffic. You'd probably make a lot more money if you actually sold the product yourself. So looking at what articles are doing well is one way. And a couple of examples here. So John Haver over at authoritywebsiteincome.com, he's done this quite well recently. He's gone out and he's purchased, I think, 3 or 4 Amazon Associates websites, and that are all in the same niche. He did this on purpose, and they get quite a bit of traffic. He then went out and just private labeled some physical products, that they were already selling. And from day one, he's got tons of traffic to his new physical product, right? Oh. Mm-hmm. And he has built up that business. I want to say he's doing, well, I don't know the numbers, but it's right around $10,000 to $20,000 a month, and the business is only a few months old.
Wow. Okay.
So, so just something to be think about. Back in the day, I actually sold this site, but I had a nursing assistant type site. It was monetized with Google AdSense, was doing just fine, but I decided to create an ebook because people were clearly coming in. A lot of the traffic was coming in for a couple of very related keywords. And so I knew exactly what people wanted. I went out and hired an expert. I hired a nurse to write a book for me. I put it up on my website and, increased the earnings quite a bit by putting up a sales page and sold the book on my website. And then final example, of course, is nichepursuits.com. I looked at what were some of the biggest problems that people had, and that was with keyword research. This really came out of my own problem, to be honest, but a lot of people also had the same problem. And so I went and created Longtail Pro and Longtail University and have been able to monetize a lot of the traffic from Niche Pursuits with those products. So, okay. Any questions or comments that come up due to that topic?
No, that makes a ton of sense, right? You have to wait till you get some traction and see what people want, right? So to be able to offer that product, right? You're not going to guess and make something up. You want to see what people are buying or what people are most interested in. That makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. So just be thinking about, what type of product could you create down the road.
Okay.
So the next thing that you want to do that you should be thinking about is building an email list. I want to be thinking about this from day one, because it becomes so much easier to sell people something, even as an affiliate, even if you don't have your own product, if you have them on an email list, because you can follow up. A lot of times traffic will come to your website and it will never come back. But if you can capture some small percentage of that on an email list, that's traffic you can recreate in a way, right? You can send them emails and send them to your website and send them to offers or sell your own products to.
Okay.
Yeah, basically talked about this. So one place that you can start for free, because I know a lot of people cost is a concern, is I think the first 500 email signups are free at MailChimp.com. So it's a great way to start off building an email list for free. And then Aweber is another sort of entry-level email solution that starts at around $20 a month.
Okay.
So not extremely expensive. But if you're just starting out, maybe MailChimp is a way to go until you have 500 subscribers. And then at that point, you can decide, do I want to stay with MailChimp and pay their fees or move somewhere else?
Okay.
And you can take your email list with you.
Okay, great.
Any questions on email list?
No.
Okay. Sounds good.
That sounds pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay.
So here we are, assignments. We're ready to wrap up.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Sounds
All
like
right.
we missed something. What questions do you have?
I mean, I don't have any specific questions yet. I mean, I wonder with the email list, do you have like a strategy where you email X amount of times, or do you send out, in the very beginning, do you email them every day to create some sort of relationship? I mean, is there like an email strategy that you have, or?
Sure. Yeah. And that certainly is worth probably another call, right? But, sort of a quick strategy is, as soon as people get on an email list, you want to send them a welcome email right away, sort of introduce who you are, let them get to know you. And then as far as content, you want to be sending them quality content, probably, at least weekly, right? Maybe 2 to 3 times a week, just kind of depends, somewhere between 1 and 3 times a week, right? Whatever you're comfortable with, you want to be sending them an autoresponder email to high quality content. Link to your own articles that you've already written on your website is probably the best way to do that. Or just an original email. Say, hey, I got a great idea, and write out an email. So that's sort of a general strategy. And then there are strategies that people have of like, okay, send them 3 high quality pieces of content for every one sort of sales type email that you send them. So that's maybe a general strategy, right? So send them 3 great non-salesy content emails, and then send them 1 sales pitch.
Okay.
Right. Or link to an Amazon associate, or link to a Amazon product or some product you're trying to sell. Right.
Okay.
So that's a very general strategy, but we can dive into that once you actually start getting some people on your email list.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, but yes, that is a discussion worth having.
Okay.
So here's your assignments. Start adding affiliate links to your existing content.
Okay.
And I know you already are thinking about doing that.
I am.
So make that happen. And then I do want you to brainstorm 3 product ideas that you could eventually sell to your niche.
Okay.
And again, this is just to brainstorm and be thinking about it. We probably won't come up with that winning idea this week. But I think if you get in the habit of brainstorming and think about it, eventually that could happen.
Okay.
And then I want you to actually sign up for an email provider.
Okay. Okay. I can do that. Yep.
And then finally get an opt-in form on your site so you can actually start collecting emails.
Now, is that going to be built into Thrive?
Yes. I believe that you have Thrive leads in there.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yes. And so that is super easy to integrate. You can basically select MailChimp or Aweber integration from Thrive Leads and create a form right in Thrive Leads. Basically just, it'll pop it in automatically for you, and people will, it's an API integration that will automatically add people to MailChimp or Aweber. So should be really easy to do.
Okay. And is this something like when people go to my site, immediately they see this box that's like sign up now? Is that how it works? Or do you have sort of freedom to make it, to kind of tweak that? Or can you have it somewhere else on the site? Or, how does that work?
Yeah, you have complete control over that. So you can have it pop up automatically. You can have it never pop up and only show an opt-in form in the sidebar or in the content. So we'll have to go through that and figure out, what you want to do. But you can do any, right? It's completely custom.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. What else you got?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's all the assignments.
I can handle that.
Okay. Between that and just continuing to work on content, I mean, doing the content is going to be the long-term sort of time-consuming thing, right? That's going to be ongoing. But as we add these little pieces, this monetization and email form, and within a few weeks here, we're going to have a full site where we're not adding anything other than sort of new content, and we start thinking about actually promotion and how do we get people to our website?
Okay.
Right?
Fantastic.
So we're getting there.
Okay. Sounds
So,
good.
yeah, any final thoughts or comments or questions that you have? If not, I mean, that's pretty much it. We're ready to wrap it up.
Okay. That sounds good. Are we going to, in the case that I use Google AdSense, we're going to go through that process, how that works?
Yeah, we can do that. You mean as far as how to actually get it on your website or?
Yep.
Yeah, we can do that. So I'm assuming you don't have a Google AdSense account already.
I don't know what to tell you. I might have one and I just, I never really got anywhere with it or wasn't really sure how it worked.
Okay.
So,
If we go down that road, we can, I can show you how to apply if needed, and then certainly how to get the code and put it in your website. But it's very, very easy to do.
Okay. Excellent.
So,
well, this sounds great. So I better get to work.
Cool. Awesome. No, I know you've expressed a little bit of frustration just about how time-consuming everything is, and it's a lot of work. But I think you're doing a great job. You have great content, and I think it's going to pay off here in the long run for sure.
It's great to hear. Thank you, Spencer.
Yep, you're on the right path. You're doing good.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good. Well, everybody listening, hopefully we provided something of value here that you guys can learn from for your own websites. I'm curious to hear how everybody else's websites are coming along. So feel free to jump over in the Facebook group and leave a comment there, or certainly at nichepursuits.com, leave a comment on any of the posts there. People can do that. But that's about it. Thank you, Samara. I appreciate your time very much.
Thank you, Spencer. I guess I'll see you next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Bye.